Asylum Inc. presents Hollow. Jennifer knew she would savor the moment that bullet did its job and found its mark. Sonya's plan was much more challenging. Sonya awaited her chance to strike, planning to use her abilities to distract the artist, buying the precious moments needed to end his life and free the boy. What the two women encountered, however, as they rounded the corner of various air conditioning units, froze the pair in place. On the ground, slumped on his knees, was Jacob, arms at his side as if making an offering, his head tilted back, drool and tears both streaming down his perfectly motionless face. A near-blinding light emanated from his mouth and eyes, creating a terrifying visage to behold. Above the child, amid a swirling mass of clouds and blackened sky, a giant sphere of darkness loomed, seemingly absorbing the light like some demonic black hole. Behind the boy stood the artist, preparing the final piece of his long-awaited masterpiece. Torn clothes, covered in stab wounds, gunshots, and gore. The man gazed at them with a horrific grin, and he welcomed them to the finale. Jennifer, you honor us with your presence. And is this Sonya who accompanies you? Oh yes, my masters have watched you with great interest, my dear. You were never intended to receive the great gift they offered. No, that was reserved for Melinda alone, a plan decades in the making. It is good, though, that you are here. See the fulfillment of your sister's great sacrifice. See the culmination of my life's work, for which none would be possible without your willing sacrifice, Jennifer. Behold, as we tear asunder the very fabric of reality and usher in a new age. Watch as our sun bridges the gap between worlds. Jennifer was gripped by both rage and despair as wave after wave of pure, unfiltered dread gushed out of the unending blackness of the other side. This abomination standing before them, and all the horror he had inflicted, crushed against her spirit, threatening madness as he laughed into the limitless darkness above. The same dead eyes with a hint of demonic glee met her gaze as his cackle rose above the tumultuous roar of the wind, building to its inevitable conclusion. She saw the artist's bloody lips move with the rhythm of a conversation she could no longer hear over the storm. Perhaps taunts and snide remarks, perhaps not. All Jennifer knew for sure was that before her stood everything she despised, and when the creature took notice of Sonya reaching from the shadow, that was when Jennifer took aim and fired. The bullet fragmented upon impact, shattering the left side of the monster's skull, freeing Jacob from his grip. Sonya, seizing her opportunity, locked her gaze onto Jacob. The horrors that had spread throughout the city all stopped their carnage and looked up into the sky. Something had changed. They begin to feel the familiar tug. Some even begin to hear the chittering sounds of the dark calling them home. Sonya fell to the ground, tears of blood streaming from her eyes as the horrors from beyond struck back at the psychic, wrenching at her fragile sanity as they tore asunder her mental defenses. Falling to her knees, Jennifer reached out to help support Sonya as the light continued to spew from her child's body, creating a barrier of wind and debris swirling around him. Deafening screams rose up from all corners of the city as the dead were pulled back, ripped from their host's body violently, causing the bodies to gush blood and fluid from every orifice as the transfer occurred. Sonya spoke in a hushed gurgle, choking on bile. She struggled trying to tell Jennifer what needed to be done. You can't kill the dead. As she spoke, a knife gouged through Sonya's head, releasing a torrent of blood, while the artist laughed with glee. Jacob blinked and was himself, but only for a moment. Sonya had done far more damage than her sister ever could. Tampering with forces beyond her understanding, Sonya's gamble to sever Jacob's connection to the dead side had the opposite effect. The door was swinging open once more, and this time it threatened to never close. Jacob looked up to his mother, and as the portal began to grow, he cried out, "Help me, I'm so cold." Jennifer lashed out in horror, not knowing how to save her son, as his body was seemingly being consumed by the energies it contained within. As Jennifer wept, and the forces of darkness forced their way into our world once more, the artist rejoiced. His cries of ecstasy rang out from the rooftops as his work had finally been completed. Jennifer felt only anguish and despair as she tried to shut out the world around her. From the darkness within the recesses of her mind, Jennifer began to feel another presence. She felt limp in her body, watching but unable to control her limbs. Jennifer felt Sonya's hand, guiding hers as the psychic took hold. An overwhelming sensation enveloped Jennifer's body with one feeling, one message striking at her core. The doorway must be closed. Jennifer relinquished control, too weak to even grasp what was happening. All she knew for sure was that she had failed, and misery consumed her. To be continued. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this Asylum Inc. presentation.